Hello and welcome back. I'm here today and it's really cringy because I'm here today to talk you through how to use my own leather products. Now there's nothing cringier, is there, than watching somebody try to sell their own stuff, and I promise you that this is not really a case of me trying to sell my own things. It's just that I've been asked quite a lot about how to use them, what order to use them in, etc, etc. So if you can get over the cringiness of this, here's a video where I show you how to use the PeeWee Leathercare goodies to clean and nourish your leather. So sit back, make yourselves a cup of tea, and hopefully, if it's not too cringy, enjoy. I looked everywhere for some dirty leather, and I don't mean to show off, but I couldn't find any dirty saddles or anything to clean, and I thought I wanted something that was really dry. So basically the leather system consists of a soap, a conditioner and a balm, and I really wanted something very dry to show you how brilliant the balm is. So I found the only leather thing I could find in my house that was very dry, and it's my horse's very old leather head collar. You can see how filthy and how dry it is. Now this, believe it or not, used to be brown. It's faded because it lives outside in the sun, the rain, the wind, the everything. It's actually a very nice head collar. It's one of the LeMieux ones, but the leather itself, you can see, is very dry. So today what I will do is I will use the soap, the conditioner and the balm on it. You can see the difference it makes. I'll show you how to use them, what order to use them in, stuff like that. So as always, the first thing we're going to do is get a kettle of hot water. And we do that because hot water is so much better for cleaning leather. I'll pop a link to a video up because I did a video the other day about hot water and leather, which is really important to watch, so you can watch that if you like. So whilst you've had the kettle on, make yourselves a cup of tea because you're going to be doing something a little bit boring for a little bit of time. So you may as well have a cup of tea at your side. So we get our hot water and we pour it into, no pumpkin, it's hot, a bowl. Ouch! Hot pumpkin. Move it out of the way of small animals. Then we get our little leather head collar. Don't even know where to start. I'm going to start, this bit here comes off easily. So I'll show you on the headpiece. So this here, look, my headpiece, lovely, soft, it's, well, was soft, squishy leather. Now a little hard and dry. First of all, we'll get the soap because we want to give it a clean. They're all natural, as you all know if you know anything about these products, and they contain lots of essential oils in. So this particular one's got lemon, cold pressed lemon essential oil, and also peppermint essential oil. So lemon oil is really good for cleaning, we know that, and peppermint oil is really good for mold prevention, and it's also really good for keeping away spiders and mice. So we took the lid off and we open it up and we see that in here we have our little magic sponge. If you don't know what the magic sponge is, this is a little magic sponge. It starts out at about 1-2 millimeters. We dip it into some water and it swells up. It's hot, hot, hot. Now the reason we use hot water, is because it evaporates from the sponge much quicker. Can you see the steam on the camera? Oh, I can see the steam here anyway. So it evaporates much quicker, which means that the sponge doesn't stay as wet for as long. So it retains the heat, so it's still hot, but it's not as wet. We get the soap, we put it in and we rub it around. So our products are deliberately really hard. So I hear a lot of people say, oh, they're really hard. They're deliberately hard because you don't need a lot of product. You just need enough product. The product is like an aid, really. And you don't want to saturate your leather with product. So we've got a little bit of soap on here and we literally rub it on in circular motions. We're going to get rid of all of the dirt and grime. And every now and again we put the sponge back into the hot water, partly to rinse off the dirt and the soap we've got on it, but also partly to reheat it, because we're going to let the heat of the sponge, not the water of the sponge, the heat of the sponge, to help us get rid of that really ground in grime. So you can see here as well that it's starting to change colour back to its original colour. So part of that is because the sponge has got some dampness in it, but the other part of it is because the soap has got quite a lot of natural oils in it. So we've said about the lemon oil and the peppermint oil, but it's also got in it quite a lot of sweet almond oil, which is so good for leather. It's also got something in it called Manuka oil, which is from the Manuka plant, which is what makes Manuka honey magic. So it's got lots of really good oils in it. So our headpiece is now clean, a completely different colour, clean, and you can see it's not really wet. Can we see that? And that is because we have used not a lot of water on the sponge. The water is evaporated off the sponge because it was hot. The sponge, because they start off like this and then expand, it means they kind of hold the water slightly differently, so they don't really hold on to the water in the same way as another sponge. And there we go, all the dirt has gone. So after that, you might find that that's enough. But I like to think that after we've introduced water, albeit only a small amount of water, after we've introduced water and heat to leather, we should give it a little bit of a treat with some conditioner. Now this leather itself was so ridiculously dry, it definitely needs conditioner. So the next step after the soap is you can either jump straight to the orange and geranium, which personally is my favourite, or you can go on to the chocolate orange as well. So we'll do the chocolate orange today, just because. I'm just going to reuse this sponge, even though it's got sponge in it, because, you know, save the planet, even though they're eco-friendly. Again, a really hard consistency. So this conditioner is hard. It's really hard. Sometimes as well, if it gets really cold and really hot, it can go a slightly funny texture, and that is because it hasn't got stabilising chemicals in it. There's no chemicals in these. They're all natural, and the lack of stabilising chemicals can mean that it can look a little bit grainy sometimes, but that's nothing to worry about, because as soon as you get a bit of friction on it, the heat then helps. So we have the hard, very hard, and again, why hard? Because we don't want lots of product on our leather. And we get our sponge and we wiggle it around a few times, and then I can feel that hardness, I don't know if you can see, but that hardness now has started to soften a little, just enough to get a little bit of chocolate orange smelling product. And we're going to do the same. We're going to apply it to the leather in a circular motion. So can you see where I've put it on there? So although it's a really hard product and you don't feel like you're getting anything off at all, and you're like, oh, some people won't be able to really gloop into the product and gloop the product on. But you can see there, can we see there, where I've put it here and not here, and so the product is going on, it just feels like you don't have much on your sponge. But that's really good, because that means that the little tub is going to last you for ages. So you can see here, this is the side that I have put some conditioner on, and this is the side that I haven't. Can we see that this is darker? Now it's not darkening the leather because it's dyeing it, it's not darkening the leather because it's staining it, it's not darkening the leather because the sponge was wet, because it wasn't wet, the sponge was completely dry. That is just the product moisturising the leather. Because this leather had gone so pale and like wishy-washy because it had no moisture in it, and not moisture in terms of water, but in terms of oils and good things like that. So there we go, that's the one that's been conditioned, that's the one that hasn't been conditioned but has been cleaned. It was even lighter than that before we cleaned it, do you remember? Another thing that you can notice with this one that's been conditioned is because the conditioner itself is so hard, and it's not tacky, and it's not splodgy, and it's not splodgy, and you don't gloop it out, it doesn't gloop everywhere, it's not filling up the holes. Can we see? So we've put soap and conditioner on, and we've not got any gloop at all between the holes. Yeah? And that's another bonus of having a hard product. It doesn't leave a residue on the leather itself, but also doesn't clag up the holes and leave claggy stuff inside the holes. So I'll just do the rest of this headpiece with the conditioner. One thing I forgot to say is that all of these products smell amazing. So this chocolate orange one really does smell like chocolate orange. And we don't make it smell like chocolate orange because we like the smell of chocolate orange, although who doesn't like the smell of chocolate orange? It's chocolate orange because it's got orange oil in it. Orange oil, again, really good for cleaning, really good for conditioning, really good for moisturising. And it's also got cocoa butter in it, and cocoa butter, very good conditioner. As we all know, because we put it on our skin. And at the end of the day, what is leather? it's skin. So we all put cocoa butter on our skin. We know how good it is for our skin. And cocoa butter smells of chocolate. So that's why it ends up smelling like chocolate orange. So a lot of people think that they've got these scents because we've got them, because, well, you know, I want to sell it as a chocolate orange thing, but actually it's not. It just happens to be chocolate orange because it happens to have, it's got cocoa butter in, which is really good for conditioning, and orange oil in, which is really good for conditioning, cleaning, and also really good for skin. / leather. So just finish this little bit off here. So I have just slathered this in, well, not slathered because again it's hard, but this is now conditioned and cleaned using the soap and the chocolate orange conditioner. You could very easily leave it here at this point, and again there's no residue anywhere, there's no bits of conditioner sticking in the holes or anything like that. You see, no residue, because again it's hard, and that's why we want it to be hard. So lots of the feedback that we've had is like, oh, the conditioner is really hard. It's meant to be hard. We don't want clagginess. If it's too hard, like for example if you've had it in a really cold shed or back of your car and it's frozen, then, you know, when you start to wipe it and when you start to move the sponge over it, the friction will warm it up slightly and take some off the surface. So that's that done. Now you can easily leave it here if you just had normal tap that you looked after really well, but because this is a head collar that's been left outside in all weathers for about 4 years and not been cleaned in all that time, genuinely, then we are going to put orange and geranium reviving balm. Again, I'm just going to use the same sponge, but again, a hard consistency. This is slightly softer consistency than the chocolate orange because it's got a little bit more lanolin in it. So it's got lanolin and beeswax in this. Orange oil, geranium oil, which makes it smell like a spa hotel. Like literally, it's yummy. Turkish Delight, maybe it's like Turkish Delight. Is Turkish Delight geranium flavoured? I don't know. But anyway, it's so it's got orange oil. Hang on, I'll read the ingredients. Cold pressed orange oil, cocoa butter, sweet almond oil, beeswax, manuka honey, lanolin, geranium oil. So did you know that on products that aren't designed for human skin, you don't have to by law write all the ingredients on the back? So often companies just write the nice ingredients on the back and not the nasty ones. But ours are all completely natural, so we just write all of them on the back. But can we see here where I'm putting on here? So this here's got a slightly greasier feel than the chocolate orange one, but it's not greasy, but what it is it's got a slight kind of water resistance to it when you use this. And this really, really, really is what you need on like dry leather. So this stuff is really good for leather like this. It's been left outdoors in all weathers. And also like yard boots or, you know, leather jackets. Something that you want a slight bit of water resistancy. Something that's really dry. I use this on my sofa at home because number one, it makes my sitting room smell delicious, and number two, when like the dogs, not that dogs were allowed on the furniture in my house because they're not, but they do anyway, and the children and everything, they scratch the sofa. This is really good for helping with the scratch marks. So we're going to put, I would put slightly more of this on than I would normally just because it's so dry, and you literally just rub it in. And can we see here now that A, the colour has completely changed back to that beautiful chestnut colour, and B, look at that sort of shine and glow that it's got. It's healthy glow. There we go, see there? Oh, lovely. If you let all that soak in, it'll be delicious. Can you see? Beautiful. And the whole leather, the leather itself, it was originally really soft leather anyway, and then I've ruined it by letting it live outside, but it's going back to its beautiful softness again. Isn't that beautiful? Now, none of that has any dye in it, but you can see how it's brought the colour back up beautifully without needing a dye. In the range, we also do ones like this that have a colour on them. See, it's a restoration balm, and this one here says brown. We do also do these balms that have got some dye in them, and they are for recolouring. But sometimes people think they need leather recolouring, like for example that head collar looked awful, but now look how much it's come back. So this is the colour that it was, and this is the colour that it now is, and that is just cleaning, conditioning, and then like an intensive moisturiser. Has changed it from that colour to that colour. So do we even need to put a recolouring balm on it? I don't think so. I think that's amazing. It's a huge difference. It's super soft, smells delicious, all of the products are completely natural. They've got no nasty chemicals in, they've got no stabilizers in, they've got nothing like that. They literally are just good, really good quality Manuka honey, Manuka oil, essential oils, some lanolin, some beeswax, which are the main ingredients in most hand creams, so they are really good for skin, and lots of other yummy, scrummy things. And one more thing, whilst I'm on this really awkward sales pitch, is that the reason that these were even created is because I suffer from really, really sensitive skin. My skin is like cracks and peels and gets really dry really easily, and so whenever I use tack conditioners or cleaners, my hands can get really sore. So I actually made these originally so I could clean tack, because I have stock of, you know, hundreds of saddles that need cleaning all the time. So I used to get really sore hands on a tack cleaning day, whereas now, because everything in the ingredients list is actually the sort of thing that I would specifically go out and buy face creams containing. So that's it, that's the range, and that's how we use them. For a really quick recap: lemon and peppermint for cleaning, chocolate orange for that little kind of light conditioning, kind of surface layer conditioning, orange and geranium for that deeper condition. Use the sponge provided, because they're really good, these magic sponges, because it holds no moisture, there's no dampness in there at all, and water and leather is a bit of a crap combo. So use the sponges provided, and you can get spares if you want, and use hot water, because that's also very useful. But it's not the hot water that's useful, it's the heat that's useful. So it's the heat that heats the sponge up. You squeeze out all of the excess moisture. You don't want any moisture in the sponge. It's the heat and the product that do the work. Does that make sense? So apologies for that mega cringe video. I appreciate it sounds like I'm selling my soul, but genuinely they are fantastic products, and I do make them myself in my shed. So I do know what's in all of them and how fab they are. And also genuinely people have asked about it, so that's why I've made the video, not because I'm just like, hey, look at my products, aren't they ace? So thank you so much for watching from me and Snorri Pants Pumpkin. Take care, stay safe, and lots of love.